right, we have finally made it. The World Series will be starting tomorrow. The Blue Jays are playing the Dodgers. I really can't wait for this. It's the last baseball we're going to get till pretty much late March. So regardless of who you're rooting for, who you want to see win, if you want a long series, if you think this is going to be a shorter series, it doesn't matter. Just appreciate the moment because, again, after this next week and a half, we don't have baseball till the end of March. So get ready for it. I think it should be a good series, and let's just break it all down. Let's get into it. First, I'm just going to talk about my initial feelings for this series before we really dive into things. And I'm just going to be so honest with you all. I think that this series obviously leans to the Dodgers. I don't think that's shocking anyone. And it's no disrespect to the Blue Jays at all. It's really more just respect for the Dodgers. They are 9-1 in the postseason this year. If I remember correctly, they only lost one game, which was to my Phillies out of all teams in Dodger Stadium in Game 3. Other than that, this team has pretty much been flawless. I almost have forgotten about the Red Series in the wild card because they made work of them so easily. Again, they played my Phillies. They only lost one game. And then, of course, in the most, just dominant fashion I've seen in a very long time, they swept the Milwaukee Brewers. Mind you, the Brewers had the 1 seed this year as well. So I have to give respect to the Dodgers. And again, it's not against the Blue Jays at all. It's just for how good the Dodgers have looked heading into this series. I love the way the Dodgers have been pitching. That entire pitching staff, specifically the starters, has been phenomenal. Obviously, Sasaki as well. And what's even crazier about the Dodgers is we haven't even seen the Dodgers' whole lineup really do that good of a job this postseason, and they're still winning these games. It's not like Shohei has really done a ton other than that Game 4 game against the Brewers, which obviously fantastic stuff. I'm not undermining that at all, but we're not going to pretend like he's been fantastic this playoffs. Freddie Freeman, he's been down a little bit. Other guys have really been stepping up for the Dodgers, but again, that's what the Dodgers do. That's been their DNA even going back to last year. So I have a ton of respect for them. But then when we look at Toronto, the thing I love about Toronto is just the fact that this team can hit, man. Again, I'm a Phillies fan. When I watch the Phillies, I just pray one day that they have the approach that the Toronto Blue Jays do. The Toronto Blue Jays hitting approach, we've seen it really all year. I mean, Toronto, if you were watching baseball this whole season, you knew how good of a hitting team this was. Yes, they did go through some slumps at the end of the year, but still, throughout a majority of the year, they were one of, if not the best hitting teams in baseball. And we've been seeing that in the postseason. I mean, they completely dominate the New York Yankees. Yes, they let the Yankees get one game, but still, I'm pretty sure they scored, I think, at least 3 to 4 runs in that game, maybe even a couple more. Excuse me. And they still ended up winning that series in 4 games. So they got that one done pretty comfortably. And again, they lit them up. I think it was 23 or 24 runs scored against the Yankees in just 2 games. So obviously they did a very good job there. And then when we get to the ALCS, again, they were scoring several runs in multiple games. Again, they put up 13 runs in Game 3 alone. That's just ridiculous. So I really love the way that Toronto's been hitting. Again, I'm not as big on their pitching as LA, but again, what team, when healthy, is going to really compete with LA's pitching? No one's going to compete with LA's pitching. So I like both of these teams. I mean, again, they're here for a reason. It's not like these teams are bad. But I'm definitely leaning Dodgers. I will give my prediction at the end of the video, so please stay tuned for that. But if you can't tell, I'm leaning Dodgers. But now let's actually get into what both of these teams are providing, how they've done in the postseason, and some keys to success before we really give out the predictions. But yeah, let's start with the Dodgers first. As I stated, the Dodgers rotation has been absolutely disgusting so far in the postseason this year. When we look at the statistics, it's just ridiculous. Blake Snell in the postseason has a .86 ERA. Yamamoto has a 1.83 ERA. Glasnow has a .68 ERA. And Ohtani has a 2.25 ERA. That is just stuff that you pray your team does. And the fact that you have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 guys you can rely on. And really, depending on the day for Glasnow, at least with Yamamoto, Snell, and Ohtani, you're getting minimum 6 to 7 innings, minimum of these guys, if not more. I mean, Snell went 8 against the Brewers. Yamamoto did the entire game versus the Brewers. So we'll have to see how this all goes, but obviously this pitching rotation has been absolutely fantastic for the Dodgers. I think it's by far probably the best rotation I've seen live. And, I've seen a couple good ones. The Astros had a couple good ones a few years ago. I'm trying to think of other teams off the top of my head. I mean, that's really mostly where it goes to. Even the Phillies this year, honestly, I know I'm a homer, but I got to show my team love. It was a great rotation. And imagine if Wheeler was healthy, but that's not relevant to this video. But still, the Dodgers rotation has just been fantastic, and I think it's really going to be one of the strengths heading into this series. Now, here's where the Dodgers can be had, and this now needs a little bit of context. We first start with the bullpen, and that's really their most glaring weakness. Now, again, I said this needs context. If you've been watching baseball, especially in the postseason, you've known that the Dodgers really aren't even going to their bullpen that much. They really only go to it when they need to, or they cover it up with Sasaki, which, speaking of, he's done absolutely great this year in the postseason. He had one bad inning versus the Brewers, but still, 1.13 ERA in the postseason when this guy was coming off an injury and he's not been a closer in the MLB. I think that's some insane stuff. But where they can be had is really a few wild cards. It's Trinan, who has a 7.36 ERA. There's Sheehan, who has a 10.8 ERA. And then if we're counting Kershaw, he has an 18 ERA, but he only pitched that one game versus the Phillies. So I don't know if you can really count that. Another wild card is Vesia. I was going to include him in this video, but right before I recorded this, I saw that he is having some personal stuff that he has to handle with his wife. I really hope whatever is going on is obviously not too serious. I mean, it's serious enough that he's not going to be with the team, so I'm just hoping whatever it is, I hope they get through it. But I don't even know if he's going to pitch now. I don't know if he's just not going to pitch in game one. I don't know if he's not going to pitch the entire series. So I'm just not going to include Vesia in this conversation. He's actually one of the guys that I feel a little bit more confident with if they were to go to him in the pen. But really, that is where the Dodgers can be had. It's that pen. But again, with the context, of course, is can they even get to the pen? Yes, of course, you'll get to the pen because Sasaki, he can't pitch every night. But still, again, with Snell and Yamamoto and Ohtani, you're getting 7 innings realistically. And then you can go to Sasaki 2 out of 3 of those nights. I don't know how much they're really going to see some of these guys that are glaring weaknesses for the Dodgers. So, again, the Dodgers, they're built off the rotation. And then once we get into their batting order, which we will do, there are some weaknesses here and there, but still it's very good. But by far, this team is definitely charged and really has gotten here in the postseason due to this rotation. And then, of course, Sasaki closing things down. So the Dodgers this year in the postseason have a batting average of .256. Really not awful, but I wouldn't say great for their standards. And the things that really are standing out to me is Ohtani's only hitting .220, and that's with the game 4 against the Brewers. Freddie Freeman's hitting .268, which still really is not, his standard. And then Pages, who has been really good in the regular season, I think he had 27 home runs if I remember correctly, he's only hitting .086. So obviously not very good on that end, but still, when we look at the Dodgers lineup in general, and this is why I said this is so weird with them, is obviously they've gotten here through the pitching. They've been carried here by the pitching. But when we get to the lineup, Mookie Betts is still doing his thing. Not as much pop, but he's hitting almost 300 in the postseason. But what makes you really, really, really fear this team is it's not necessarily the top guys. Obviously, the top guys, you have to fear them, but it's everyone else. It's Teoscar Hernandez. It's Kike Hernandez, a guy that just shows up every single year in the postseason. Tommy Edman, another guy that just consistently shows up in the postseason. Will Smith. These are guys that really can make you pay. And that's what's so dangerous about the Dodgers right now is they're clicking this well, and you're not even getting a great postseason out of Freddie Freeman or Shohei Ohtani. Yes, again, he's done really well in Game 4, but when you look at the whole thing and kind of take a step back, it's not like he's had a phenomenal postseason. So that's my biggest worry if you're a Blue Jays fan is this team is still winning, and they're getting hits from guys that usually aren't their guys to rely on. And this is all without Freeman or Ohtani. So imagine if one of those two do end up clicking in the series. It's going to be kind of scary, not going to lie. I mean, I really can't sugarcoat it. If one of those two guys clicks and the rest of the guys keep playing the way they do, it's going to be really, really tough on that Blue Jays pitching. But that's what the Dodgers have to offer. Let's now dive into the Blue Jays. So we'll start with the starting pitching first for the Blue Jays. Gausman has been fantastic this year in the postseason. He has a 2.0 ERA. I've really liked what I've seen out of him. Yes, of course, he's had some hits allowed here and there, but he's been really good. They just announced before I recorded this as well that Savage is actually going to pitch in Game 1. It's a big spot for the kid because I think he's made 12 to 13, 14 starts, something like that this year. An incredible story, but of course, that's a huge start in Game 1. But I was listening to Talking Baseball talk about this today, Trev and Jake on their podcast, and they made a good point. Would it almost be smarter for Toronto to go with the kid, Savage in Game 1, just in case he potentially blows things up? Then you have the veteran in Game 2. Honestly, the more and more you think about it like that, I don't really mind it. So we'll see what happens there. And then the rest of the starting pitchers that they've been pitching. Max Scherzer, he did pitch in the ALCS. That was his first time pitching in a month, and he actually did pretty good. Do we know if we're going to get that consistently out of him? I don't really know, but you never know with Max. I mean, he's definitely a dog out there. I think we will probably see him pitch. Do I know if it's going to be as long of a leash as against Seattle? Probably not. But again, it all is going to depend on, can he get through the order? How many times do they want him to be seen by, these hitters for LA? We'll have to see there. And then Bieber hasn't been terrible either for Toronto, but I don't know. He's one of those guys, at least from what I've seen in the postseason, where he can be had a little bit. He can be had, and I'm really thinking more to the last couple games in the series against Seattle. It's not like he necessarily did bad. He didn't really blow up or anything. It's just more he can get hit. He walks guys here and there. I don't feel like in Game 7 that he really had his stuff as much. I mean, he did get pulled semi-early, if I remember correctly, but I don't know. He's kind of a wild card. He's definitely a good pitcher, but he can definitely be had. It's really just the walks, and again, how long can he go? He only went to the end of the 4th inning against Seattle. You're going to need him to go longer versus LA, so that's something to consider as well. The Blue Jays bullpen, that's where I start to get a little skeptical. There's some guys in there that I do really like. I am a big Jeff Hoffman guy, again, because I am a Phillies fan. I don't know why. Well, I do know why the Phillies let him go, but again, that is not related to this video. He solidified himself as a closer, or as the closer for the Blue Jays. I like what he's been doing, but everyone else I have questions for. I think about Dominguez, or Anthony Dominguez. He's been all right, but then he lets up that grand slam. There's other guys really that, again, they can do their job, but they also have let up home runs. Like when you look at the stats, and I'll have that up while I'm talking about this, guys have let up bombs and guys have been hit up a little bit. There's not a ton of guys that I trust in that pen in this moment. Again, it's not that these guys are just straight up, pitchers that are going to blow up every single time they're out there. But just from what I'm looking at in the postseason, these guys have been hit up a little bit. So that is a room of concern for me for the Blue Jays, just being honest. But again, they do have some guys there that I think they can rely on and that they have come through, again, because that's one thing I will give credit to with the Blue Jays bullpen guys is they've let up hits, but they still have been able to get key outs. It's not like these guys have just completely unraveled, but there have been times in the postseason where these guys do let up hits, they do let up home runs, and that's something I think the Dodgers potentially could take advantage of. Now, when we get to the Blue Jays lineup, this is where this team really, really is showing off, its strengths and kind of flexing a little bit. When you look at the playoff average for this team in the postseason, they are hitting 296 just as a team. That is ridiculous. 296. The team's pretty much hitting 300 in the postseason. That's wild. That's absolutely wild. And that's why I love watching them, because they're just such a good hitting team. Fundamentals are on point. They take counts. They work counts. And they know how to hit the ball, whether it's out of the park or they'll play a little bit of small ball. It doesn't matter what they do. And then another thing that's just crazy to me is Vlad and Clement. They both are hitting over 400 in the postseason, especially Vlad. Vlad, you just can't stop this guy right now. He's just, I don't know why teams are pitching to him. I would consider walking him, honestly, just because he's been that good in the postseason. You have other guys that you can rely on as well. There's so many guys. Again, Springer, he has the big home run. You have Kirk. I'm trying to think of other guys off the top of my head that I can go to. We'll see if Bichette plays. I don't know if he's going to play. We kind of just need to hear about that. I also don't know if I'd want to have him play. Not that, again, that he's bad, but it's just the way that Toronto's been hitting. I just don't know if it's worth messing that up. Again, when you're hitting borderline 300 throughout the postseason, I don't know if I want to change that, but 100% for Toronto, it's been that lineup. That lineup has kept them in games. It's won them games, even when their pitching has struggled at times. That lineup has put so much pressure on other teams. Like I said, when I think, especially back to that Yankees series, in the first 2 games in Toronto, they single-handedly took the Yankees out. Even when the Yankees scored some runs, it didn't matter because in any other game that would have been a total, a huge issue to deal with. But it didn't matter because these teams, the Toronto lineup was putting up over 10 plus runs in the first 2 games of the series. They're just completely taking teams out of the game. So I think that they can definitely disrupt some games here in this series. We'll just have to see. But it really is just going to be, again, based on opportunities. But if you think Toronto has a chance to either compete in this series or win the series, this lineup is going to have to continue what they're doing, and they're going to have to get to this elite pitching for the Dodgers. So now we're going to start with some keys to success for both teams. We'll start with LA. The keys to success for LA for me, it's really just getting to these pitchers for Toronto. And I think that can be done. Like I said, some of these Toronto pitchers have given up some hits or home runs. I'm not saying that they have been terrible, but they can give up the occasional run or home run. And I think if the Dodgers have the elite pitching performance that they've had so far through the postseason, combined with getting at some of these pitchers early, I think that puts Toronto in a really, really tight situation because, number one, that's now going to bring the pitcher out at some point, whether you're working counts or you're getting to him. Then you get to the bullpen that I don't fully trust, and I think that the Dodgers can hit. So if the Dodgers are getting hits and they're going and getting some of these guys out of the game, at a decent rate, let's say the 5th inning, maybe the 6th inning, I think it just puts it puts Toronto in such a tough spot because now that they're going to have to press, because they're going to have to hit because, the Dodgers are going to be scoring early. And again, when you're throwing that elite pitching at these guys, like let's say hypothetically, I don't know who's starting game 1. I'm going to go with probably Snell. Let's say Snell's pitching and he's again having a typical Snell outing. Let's say 1 or 2 hits. He's going 7 to 8 innings. If the Dodgers even score 3 to 4 runs in that game, you're going to make Toronto press because they're going to have to get hits at some point. And especially, again, if they get 3 to 4 runs early and then they get to the bullpen, it's just, again, it's such a tough spot to be in for really any team. But I think, again, you have to rely on that starting pitching to kind of bring you to that point. Get as many hits as you can, if possible, against some of these starting pitchers for Toronto. Work the counts at least. Get them out of the game. Attack the bullpen and just rely on that pitching to really get you through. Try to hide your bullpen as much as possible. Again, if you're able to, have your starters go deep. Have Sasaki close when he can. And another thing that I think is very doable for this team, especially with Savage now starting in game 1, is steal a game on the road. And they've definitely been able to do that. They went into Philadelphia. They were 2-0 on the road. They went into Milwaukee, 2-0 on the road. It's definitely doable. So I think, again, this is the recipe for success for LA. We'll see if they actually are able to execute this. But I think 100% this is the way that they are going to win the World Series. The key to success for Toronto is pretty simple. You got to hit these starters of LA. You have to hit them. And even if you aren't hitting them, you have to work their counts. You cannot let Snell, Ohtani, and Yamamoto, even Glasnow, you can't let them go deep in the games. You can't let them go 8 or 9 innings. You got to get them out in either, the 5th or 6th inning. You got to make these guys work. You got to get at them. And that's all you really can hope and do. Whether, again, it is either working pitch counts or actually scoring a few runs against them, because that puts LA in a tough spot because then they're going to have to start hitting. And then, yes, you will have to deal with Sasaki, which is going to be very, very tough. But again, Sasaki can't pitch every game. He can't pitch every game. And again, every single time that they see him, they're going to know more and more about what he's pitching. So that is a positive throughout this series because, again, I'm sure the Dodgers are going to be using Sasaki as much as possible. They're trying to go for a freaking World Series right now. But again, once you hopefully get some of these starters out and it's not a night that Sasaki is pitching, you have to attack the pen for the Dodgers. Again, I don't know if Vesia is going to be pitching now. You got to get at him if he does. 100% get at Kershaw. He can be had. Again, Trinan, he has not been great this year. Get at him. There was the other guy, I'm blanking on his name. You have to attack the pen. You have to. It's by far their biggest weakness. They've been able to mask it this year. But if Toronto wants to even think about winning this series, they have to attack the pen. They're going to have to consistently get hits. And honestly, you're going to have to just hope to God that Ohtani and Freeman don't fully wake up in this series, because I still see the rest of the Dodgers lineup putting pressure on this pitching staff for Toronto. So really, I just think the way I'm viewing this, Toronto is going to have to out-hit and outscore, which I know sounds so basic. That's how you freaking win baseball games, but you guys know what I mean. They're going to have to outscore LA, and they're going to have to do it consistently. It can't be, a 3-run night, one night. No, they're going to have to go 4, 5, 6 runs and hope to God that, LA doesn't put up more than them and just keep putting pressure. If they can put pressure on their starting pitchers and get to the bullpen, I think Seattle. I think Toronto can get in this series and really make it more competitive than most people think. But I do see that being a little bit of a stretch, just because, again, it's just so hard when you have Snell, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glasnow, and then any other night you can just go, hey, you just gave us 6 to 7 innings, and now we're going to go and throw Sasaki out there. It's just so tough. So we'll see what happens, but 100%, if they want to win this series, the Blue Jays are going to have to hit. Now for my actual predictions. I'm torn. I'm not torn on the winner. I'm not. I'm just torn on how long this is going to go. My brain wants to say, the emotional side of me wants to say Dodgers in 6. Because I really do respect this hitting staff and just, the players and everything for Toronto. But my logical side of my brain says I think it's Dodgers in 5. And it's pretty much everything I presented. It's really just the fact of this team, I'm talking about the Dodgers, they are set up so well, and they're not even having some of their best bats click. Now, again, there might be some regression from other guys here and there, but still, when you have that much pitching to rely on from your starters, it puts you in such a good spot, because your hitters know, okay, even if we're having a bad night, we're still in the game. We might honestly only need 1 to 2 runs to win the freaking game. And you have Sasaki to come in probably through about, I would say, half of the series, maybe 4 games if it was to say, let's say it goes 7. They're going to have guys to rely on. I just think it's going to be too much for Toronto to handle. I think they are going to get to Toronto's pitching, not necessarily saying that they're going to kill them, but I think they're going to be able to get a couple runs off some of these starters. I just think it's going to be a lot to overcome for Toronto. Again, I've said this throughout the playoffs, and it's just the truth. Regardless if they lose or win this series, appreciate this Dodgers team, because this team is legendary. This is one of the best teams you're going to see in your entire life, just when you look at the lineups and the starting rotation. So I have Dodgers in 5. I hope this is wrong, and I hope it at least goes 7. I have no, stake in this game, or I don't know if that's the right term, but I have no real, bias towards any of these teams. I mean, the Dodgers knocked out my team. Toronto's a fun watch. I don't really care who wins. It's more just the way I see this going. I see it going 5. Hopefully it's competitive and we get another 7-game series. That would be fantastic. A 7-game World Series would just be the best way to end the season. But we'll have to see. I have Dodgers in 5. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like. If you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. We're going to be continuing to break down the World Series as it goes. And yeah, that's really all I got. Again, drop your comments down below. Who do you think is going to win? Let me know your thoughts on this upcoming World Series. And if you're interested in any of my short-term content, that will be in the description down below of my TikTok. And if you made it this far in the video, I greatly, greatly appreciate you. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, guys.